Welcome to the Ecosystem Podcast. I'm your host, Sash Mukherjee, Principal Analyst for Industry Research at Ecosystem. And today I will be talking to Tim Sheedy, who's no stranger in the Asia Pacific tech world, having been an analyst for the last 25 years. Over these years, Tim has been guiding businesses with their customer and digital experience strategies. Welcome to this episode, Tim.
Thanks, Sash.
So, Tim, we hear a lot about conversational commerce these days. So, how would you define conversational commerce, and why do you think it's so relevant today?
So if you go back to the beginnings of conversational commerce, it was the chatbots, etc., these sort of very simple AI-based systems. In Singapore, you may remember Bus Uncle, etc.
Yeah.
Now, in the very early days, there was resistance to this idea of a chatbot. There was the general accepted wisdom was that customers wouldn't want to actually chat with a machine or chat with an AI. However, that's changed, right? Over the last sort of 18 months in particular, a lot of customers actually found that it's much easier to get answers to questions from a conversational interface. Instead of sitting on hold, instead of waiting on a phone call, instead of visiting a store or visiting a branch or service center, you can just reach out using some, chatbot, a conversational interface, one of your messaging apps, might be another way of doing it. So what we're finding more and more these days is that businesses are interacting with us in the places where, we want to interact, where we're already interacting with our friends and family, such as WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, etc. So more and more we're seeing, the ability to interact with organizations, brands, companies, retailers, telcos, etc. In these applications that we're using today. And some of the smarter businesses are starting to invest in the conversational capabilities around, the smart appliances, the Google Homes, the, Amazon Alexas, etc. Devices where you can actually, ask a question using your voice, not using a keyboard, and get answers to those questions. And effectively have a conversational interaction with a brand that may involve finding out where your product is at the moment. It may involve a sale, right? That's where the commerce bit comes into it. But overall, it's about trying to provide an easier, more effective way for customers to interact with businesses.
So, when you were describing this whole conversational commerce, one takeaway from that I got was organizations need to offer a consistent omni-channel experience. And we conducted the study along with Zendesk at Ecosystem, and you were very much a part of it. And the study revealed that only 14% of organizations in Singapore feel that they offer a full omni-channel experience to their customers. So how exactly are businesses in Singapore and elsewhere using conversational commerce today?
So you're absolutely right. Like this omni-channel focus is the biggest focus of customer experience departments today, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that in another podcast. But there are some great examples from across Singapore and across the globe of organizations that are using conversational commerce really effectively. It might be about ordering a taxi in your messaging app. Finding out from your airline that your flight's been delayed, and instead of them sending you a text message or an email or making an announcement over the loudspeaker, you're actually getting it, on your mobile device in your messaging application, and you can actually chat with them there and then and reschedule that flight and actually get the ticket delivered to you in the messaging app itself. So look, there is, as I said, there are a lot of smart businesses really thinking through that entire customer journey. It might be a retailer who's saying, who's giving you updates that you're going to get your delivery in the next 30 minutes, and they might be getting information from a delivery firm and pushing that through to you in your messaging app or using SMS or some sort of messaging technology. There are a couple of retailers that have started to get this idea that look, our customers live in these messaging apps, so how about we go to them there, right?
Yeah.
So, like the point is, as someone who often is interested in the latest shoe drop, the latest Jordans or Yeezys, I often find out about these things in the messaging app, and a couple of smart retailers have worked that out, and they've gone in to chat with me in that messaging app and tried to make the sale, right? Tried to actually make that commerce element there and then too. So, there's, as I said, there's a lot of organizations using it today, but the point is that, as you were saying to start with, we do need this consistent omni-channel experience. So if I'm having a conversation with a retailer in the messaging app, and then I walk into a store and then I go to the website, I want to just be able to continue that conversation, right? And that's where the omni-channel component comes in. Conversational commerce, yes, it's taking off. Yes, it's important, but it's got to be part of a broader omni-channel strategy.
Right. Going back to Singapore, and especially in the last year or so, we've seen customer apps mushroom, and especially led by the government agencies and their initiatives to combat COVID. And the government has also introduced stimulus packages for small and medium enterprises to go digital in their customer interactions. So we can safely expect that this adoption is going to go up. So this would be the right time for businesses to reconsider what they need when they're implementing or improving their conversational commerce solution. So what would be your guidance to them?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. I love the fact that the government's been incentivizing these things in Singapore. And what they're probably already finding is that their mobile app or their new mobile website isn't answering all their customers' questions, right? They can probably do 80% or 70% of what they want, but then there's this other 20 or 30% of questions, queries, etc., that aren't getting answered through those apps. And this is where, as a customer, we get frustrated, and we want to reach out to them, we want to visit the store, we want to call their contact center, and sometimes that adds additional cost to that business by not answering their questions. So these businesses will actually find that for them, the next step is to consider that conversational commerce element. How can I actually answer that other 20 to 30% of questions, to make sure my customers are happy, make sure they get what they want. Now, as businesses doing that, though, a couple of major considerations that they really should focus on is, first of all, think about that entire customer journey, right? So conversational commerce isn't just about making the sale. It's not just about telling you when your product's going to arrive. It's not just about answering a question before the sale, right? It should be throughout the entire customer journey. There are questions that we ask. You have different customers that are more or less familiar with your brand, more or less familiar with your processes. Some of them will want to reach out and ask questions. Some of them will have simple questions. Some of them will have very technical questions, maybe for your business. So being able to use that conversational element throughout the entire journey, and not just at a component of it. And I guess, second of all, look for a platform that can actually support all the different messaging platforms, right? You don't want to have to be going into WhatsApp to answer one question, and Messenger to answer another, and WeChat to answer another, right? You don't want to have multiple conversations going on across all these different systems, because first of all, that's hard and it takes more time for your agents. And second of all, you can't track them as easily, and you can't bring that all together with that single view of the customer. So, having a single platform to manage all that conversational commerce across the entire customer journey, having analytics around that to understand where you're getting more or less questions that'll help you design your mobile app and website in future to answer the questions before they're asked. But these are the considerations that you should think about when developing a conversational commerce capability within your business.
Right. Tim, always a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sash.
And for more insights on Singapore's digital customer experience maturity, visit blog.ecosystem360.com. Thank you for listening in, and look out for the next episode when Tim will talk more about how to shape your customer experience strategies in 2021.